So we back with 90 Day Fiancé the other way, where it starts off the I guess second part of the season, which I'm happy about. So we're gonna start with Submit and Jenny. Jenny does not go with Submit to see his parents because she knows they're not ready for that. They need to talk to Submit first, and he needs to kind of break the ice a little bit. And when he goes in, like I watch the show because the cultures and the customs amaze me. But when he walks in, he touches both of their feet, touches both of their feet. It's a sign of respect. I'm like, wow, I did something else I didn't know. Um, and he sits down and they just start looking at each other in awkward silence and they start talking and Submit's just like, how y'all doing? So I'm here about Jenny. And his dad is like, we're not gonna accept her. His mom is just like, no, she's like half of your age, more than half of your age. She's close to my age. And like in 10 to 15 years, she gonna be 75. And what if you gotta take care of us and her? Who you gonna choose? He's like, both. Why I gotta choose? And the father's like, you trying to get lemons out of a mango tree. I'm like, oh, wait a minute now. Shots fired. Gun was loaded. So they want grandkids, and she cannot have kids. We know this because of her age. And he is just like at a loss for words. And he's like, but you put me in this position because I didn't want to marry this other woman. I didn't want to be with her. I didn't want that relationship you put me in. And he's just like, and they're just still like, well, we tried and we made a mistake and we're sorry. And the father's like, well, I'm helping you now with this divorce. And it was $20,000 to get this divorce. And he said, but like, I'll pay you back. But you made me get a divorce because she's not who I love. I've told you for 3 years. No, I've told you 3 times in 2.5 years, I did not want to be with her. I told you, like each time you guys tried to make me be with her. And it's sad because his mom is tearing up and she's getting emotional. And it's like, which side of the coin are you on? It's like, do I feel horrible and terrible and try to make him happy now? Or do I just suck it up and just say, let me just like this lady because this is who he wants to be with, but I'm not going to have no grandkids. You got another kid. You can have kids. Like, I don't know. It's a rough spot. And his mom is just like, she lied to me basically. She came in as my friend. We hung out, knowing all the while she was trying to get with you. And he's just like, I tried to commit suicide. Like, y'all not understand the severity of how unhappy I was with this woman for 2.5 years. I tried to kill myself. And his mother hugs him. He hugs his mother. And it's a hard position. And they're still like, but because it's society. And he's like, but society doesn't have to dictate my happiness. And you're upset about society, but society isn't going to make me stay alive. You know what I mean? Like, why do we have to live in a society? And in those cultures and those backgrounds, you suck it up and deal with society. And he's trying to go against the grain. And I feel like they either need to move to a more westernized or modernized society to avoid the stigma and the shame for his parents, for them to be happy, because it's not working. It's not working, and it's not fun to watch Submit and Jenny go through this. The next couple is Brittany and Yazan. Now, Brittany lied, went back to Chicago to get a divorce because all of a sudden, magically, she just got this letter that said something about your divorce paperwork, and you gotta come to the courthouse to get it done and complete. So she's excited. She hops on a plane. She goes over to meet her aunt, and her aunt needs to get a hat or do something with her hair. Her hair like a move on. Anyway, because who am I to talk like? Look at my frizz. But whatever. Her aunt is like, well, what happened? And she's trying, well, I'll tell you later. And Brittany has an uncomfortable smile. I don't know. It's like, I wasn't happy over there. And I don't know. And it's just like, Yazan and I, we were arguing and I wasn't happy. Like, stop, girl. Like, just have a conversation. And she tells them what happened from the minute she got off the plane with the alcohol, how he yelled at her, hollers, hollers, hollers. Like all that stuff he was doing in her face. And how his parents called her a prostitute and how they want her to take her social media down. She's like, no, I'm not doing it. But Brittany, you were married to a Muslim man twice. Well, this will be the second time. You know how they are. So why is this brand new for you? I'm confused. And then she goes to the courthouse to find out the paperwork wasn't filed. And I don't know what that letter she got meant or how that worked out. But the point was she wasted her time. And she said, "Where's a manager? I want to talk to a manager." Girl, who a manager in the courthouse? Who? Who you gonna talk to? You should have been had this done. That's the other problem. So she has to come back after they file the paperwork, which means she has to be in um, Chicago for a longer period of time and stall Yazan. And Yazan's like, "I miss her. You know, I wish she was here. I don't know what's taking so long." And I'm like, if you only knew, sir. If you only knew. So then we got Kenny and Armando. I gotta say with the Armando. They're driving back to Armando's town, and they're going to get his daughter Hannah, and to meet the family and introduce Kenny. And they're driving back, and they're unsure if they're going to tell his family that Armando and Kenny are engaged, because he just told them 3 weeks prior that he's with a man. So it'll be kind of shocking to them and kind of quick, but he'll have to explain if he decides to tell them. So they're driving back, and Kenny's asking all these questions. I'm like, Kenny, first of all, y'all been together too long, and you too long in the tooth to not have gotten some Spanish lessons in. Like, we got so many things over here to learn Spanish. Like, and Armando should have been talking to him in Spanish, I feel like, just to help him get ready for this moment in time. Only, I believe, his sister, speaks English, but you knew you would have to talk to other families. So I don't, that part, I'm like, Kenny, you too old to not know better. But if you knew better, you would do better. And he clearly didn't know better. And he's just like, what do I say to your parents? What do I call them? And he's like, their first name or like their last name. And he's like, well, it's weird because Armando is a junior. So he's like, it's going to be weird calling him Armando. I'm like, Kenny, because you about the same age. Like, what you want to call him? Mr. Armando? Like, you ain't 7. But okay. So I just feel like Kenny should have done better when it relates to getting to know the culture and the language. And little Truffles is in the back seat with his little good one eye. They get back to Armando's town. As they're pulling in, the whole family is around a bonfire. Hannah comes running up to Armando. She's so happy to see him that she runs and hugs Kenny. And it's awkward silence. His father is not there. So after I don't know how long the time frame elapsed, but he said, well, let's go see what my dad is. So he gets up with Kenny, and the mother goes in, and the father's like, I'm not ready. He comes out, he's like, how you doing? Shakes his hand. And then the father's like, yeah, so can I go back inside now? Like, I'm done, I'm tired. And he goes back in. So it wasn't even a 2-minute thing. And I felt bad because it was an awkward conversation, awkward 2 minutes, but it is what it is. And then the next couple is Ari and Benny. They irritate me. She knows better. But she's a spoiled brat. You are in Ethiopia trying to have a baby and buy a car with no money, and you mad at him. He makes $500 a month. Bitch, where? So Ari and Benny go to their new apartment. The apartment looks halfway decent in comparison to what they looked at in the past. And I forget how much money he said it was a month. I don't think he can afford it, but that's where they have to live. I guess her parents are going to fund this lifestyle because there's no other way. They then go and look at cars. They got to get cars because it'll help Benny and get around to his 5 jobs where he makes $500 a month. And it was I think it was a Toyota Yaris, whatever it was. Small get-around car, 2001, and it was $22,000. She's like, no way. Baby, is it really that much money? I don't understand. Why is so much money? Like, this car is like easy, like $5,000 in the States. And he's getting pissed off. He's like, I'm tired of her comparing the States to Ethiopia. Like, this is how it is. Everything is imported. Nothing is like sitting on a lot coming from where? Like, everybody in these situations who put themselves in the situations, I feel like y'all should know better. Like, y'all put so much emphasis on what the U.S. does, what the U.S. does, what the U.S. does. And you have to understand how humongous the United States is and how many opportunities and how many merchants and how accessible everything is in comparison to these other countries. Like, please stop. So they decide to wait on the car. Then they go to the hospital for her checkup, and they're like, the baby isn't getting enough amniotic fluid, and the baby isn't moving as much, which means you have to have this baby. And she's like, oh, and they're like, now, oh my God, we gotta have the baby right now. I'm not ready. Where's my mommy? I want my mommy. Bitch, you should have asked for your mother when you opened your legs and had sex with a man who you didn't even know and decided to live in another country. Where was your mother then? But you grown, right? She's just a spoiled brat, and it's a problem because she doesn't know how to operate on her own without her parents' finances. Because not one time did they ever say what she does. What does she do? What does she do? What did she do? When she met him, she was on some kind of wild child adventure, and that's when she met him. And I'm like, anyway, Tim and Melisa, they drive me out because they're so dry and boring. Tim tries to, he has an interview at a job where he hopes they will sponsor him versus him having to have a work permit because it's cheaper. If the company sponsors him because of how good he is, he won't have to worry about paying for it himself. Melisa meets up with her friends, and she's like, I wonder if I should tell him when we were broken up, I had a couple of boyfriends. And she goes, I wouldn't call them boyfriends. We just had sex. Sexual relationships. But she was mad at him because he cheated on you. But y'all was like, not really broken up, you said, but broken up. I don't. But okay. And her friends are like, don't say nothing. I'm like, too late. It's on the show. He gonna see it anyway. So whatever. But we're gonna see how it's gonna play out. 90 Day Fiancé the other way. Next week, let's see what happens. Because we're gonna go to Ji-hoon and Devin's stupid ass. As always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.